Alright, what's up guys? We have the Aria run. I'm going to let him get started before I start commentary, but I hope you guys enjoy this.
Okay, Strider, I'm ready. So, I'll begin my run in 3, 2, 1, go.
Alrighty, so Aria of Sorrow Glitchless. This is going to be a treat for you guys. I'm super excited about this category. I've spent a lot of time running Aria myself, not as much as I'd like with Glitchless, but Glitchless takes all of those little tricks and game-breaking mechanics out of it and essentially leaves you with pure skill-based execution. So if you're looking for a category that recognizes the execution, this is your category. We see immediately he's doing backdashes. Now backdashes are the quickest form of movement, but there's a little bit of a caveat to that. There's a slowdown at the end of your backdash, so what you're going to see him doing in all cases, or in best case scenario, is he's going to be doing a backdash followed immediately by a jump. This cancels out the slowdown and allows you to kind of maintain that maximum benefit of the backdash. What you're seeing now, he just used the suspend function to reset the RNG, and he's going to be going for the Creaking Skull soul manipulation. We'll see if he gets it. Okay, so he missed the manipulation. He's opted to reset, which I don't necessarily blame him for. It's a quick reset at this point in time. What you're looking to do there is you're looking to chain your spear hits to ensure that they're basically back to back, and then you have to end the fight by doing a backdash and jumping and attacking. That will place the RNG in the certain spot that will guarantee you the soul drop. What he's doing in this screen before the boss when he suspends is he's resetting it to a set point, and then his actions throughout this room actually determine what the RNG is for the boss fight. So the setup begins right as soon as you come out of that suspend mode. We'll see if he gets it the second time. There we go, that looks good. First, second try. Okay, so Creaking Skull, very much a tool that runners were wishful and hoping for in the early days of Aria, but the Creaking Skull manipulation became a thing shortly after I started running it. So it's very handy. The Creaking Skull is going to be a main source of damage going forward, especially for the start. Ooh, there's the Pure Soul. Extra souls, they take up 2 seconds ideally, assuming that you can mash your way through the menu pretty quickly, which is not difficult. The trouble with that is they mess up later menus. Skeleton Knight, on the other hand, very useful. Opting to equip it right away. Don't blame him. So Skeleton Knight's going to be useful because it's going to give him a 4 strength bonus, which is going to up his damage. More specifically in the early game, it's not as effective in the late game. You're going to see first usage of Creaking Skull here. So in this point, this is where you see basically the divergence between something like any percent no 0 HP and Glitchless. In any percent no 0 HP, which is kind of considered, I guess, the main category, if you will. You would take advantage of a zip basically, and you would get zipped into the wall right through the chapel, and you would skip up. You would never see this section in that category. So we see him putting to work the backdashes. Backdashes in the shorter categories are still worthwhile. They save you, I think in the 15-minute run, we'll call it the 15-minute run, they save you about 20 seconds, I think, if done ideally, something around there. Now, of course, if you are failing backdashes, meaning if you backdash the wrong direction, it kind of cancels out some of that benefit. So it's a risk versus reward thing. Anyone that wants to pick up the run, I would suggest learning it as early as possible, just for your own benefit, but the whole run definitely does not hinge on that. You can get a good time without resorting to backdashes. You're just going to get a better time if you can execute that skill. And even further to that, there's something called blade dancing, which only a handful of people do, and that's even slightly faster than the backdash cancels in and of themselves. Opting for the safety save. It only takes a moment. The health refill is decent. So, what is defined as a glitch? And this is something I feel we should cover, because there are things going on that may not be intended mechanics. For example, you see him jumping as he slashes. That's to cancel the slash animation a little bit quicker. If you stand on the floor, flat-footed as I call it, you basically have this extra amount of time in which you can't attack, and it's not efficient at all. So you're going to see for any attacks, he's going to be ideally doing little tiny short hops to do his attacks in quick succession. Not considered a zip. Also, the RNG manipulation at the start, not considered a glitch either. RNG manipulation, although it's kind of knowledge of the game, you're not doing anything outside the intended mechanics of the game. You're not going through walls, you're not breaking it like the zips do. So RNG manipulation, considered fair game in Glitchless. As well, there is a, call them corner jump. There's a corner jump into the garden, which is not intended. You're supposed to have the soul that allows you to walk on water and you don't jump on top of the water to get through that section. You can make it with a double jump without using that soul. Not considered a glitch because, again, you're not doing anything that the game doesn't intend you to in terms of being able to double jump. You're just using the way that Soma's hitbox goes around that platform, if you will. So that kind of gives you guys a little bit of a rundown. You're not going to be seeing any zips. You're not going to be seeing the infamous shop glitch, which makes things a lot easier and gives you as many potions as any person could ever need. On the flip side, you're just going to see a lot of straight up Aria gameplay. Great armor goes down. And there's the double jump. Always much more excited to see Hammer in, you know, a run where you can actually utilize him. You're going to be seeing a couple visits to the shop throughout this run where you can't do where you can't do the shop glitch to get an infinite amount of potions. Healing items are going to be limited, and there is an item cap of 9 on this game. So you can't purchase more than 9 potions, 9 high potions, etc. High potions themselves don't unlock until you actually defeat death. Yes, thank you guys. I will update the dashboard. Okay, so he's going for the double jump here. Very nice. It's a fairly tight double jump to get up there. The intended way, if you will, is to use the flying armor, but it does save you a menu if you can do that without utilizing the flying armor, and you can also utilize the creaking skull here. Oh wow, a second skeleton knight soul. I mean, one is just lucky enough. Two is two's getting greedy. Come on now. So, like any other Castlevania, you know, with this style, with the Metroidvania style, if you will. I hate calling it that because, I mean, it's a Castlevania game. It's not a Metroid game. And I don't feel it's a... You guys know what I mean, though. With this whole genre of the full map, level system, backtracking, etc., you have your warp points between the castle. The first one he just utilized now took him back to the start. The most dangerous part in this run is going to be coming up, I'll say fairly soon. It's the death fight. I'm curious to see if he is going to opt for extra potions. Well, I guess at this point he can't because he would have visited the shop already. So I didn't catch exactly how many he grabbed right out of the gates. It would either be 2, or if he wanted to take the extra safety, it would be 3. There is a safety save before the death fight, but essentially what you just saw there was not intended. You were not supposed to be able to make it up to the garden without the actual walk-on water ability. So as a result of that, he is, we'll say, drastically underleveled for this portion of the game. His equipment is not up to par with this section of the game, so things become a lot more dangerous at this point in time, because this is when you really start to sequence break, if you will. A little bit of a hit from the disc armor there. I could leave Retro on, but I feel like leaving Retro on is just kind of a cop-out. I can manage titles. I should be managing titles. Dylan, get over here and manage titles. Alright, making his way across the werewolves. Into the infamous clock tower. So like many other Castlevania games, the clock tower is not nice. I should really just give him the editor ability to do so because he is a mod. Sharing my screen has nothing to do with that activity. So yeah, he's going to be jumping in. This is where he's going to be grabbing his weapon. So was it the Mistolin, I think is what it's called. He is still got to be safe here. 165 health. What he's going for in this section is he does not want to use any of his healing items. Ideally, he wants to save his healing items for the death fight fully and wholly. So I think you're going to try and see him clutch this out, although I think he can take 2 more hits depending on the source. He definitely does not want to touch the spikes. And he has to take 1 damage boost through the great armor. I think he has enough though. Yeah. Okay, so hopefully he doesn't get hit. Okay, he is opting to use the 1 potion. Good. I didn't want to see him get hit by those harpies. Those harpies can be such a troll. So, into the death fight. This is definitely one of the most dangerous points of the run. Again, you're underleveled, you're not really equipped adequately, and you've got a couple healing items at best. So, taking a few scythe hits right off the bat. Death has 2 prominent phases. You're going to see essentially this, I don't know, the small scythe phase and then the double scythe phase, whatever you'd like to call them. Projectiles are bad, lasers are worse, and death can combo you. There's not really adequate iframes in this game. So you're no stranger to taking a hit from a projectile scythe, getting bumped into death himself, and maybe rebounded into another one. So far, so good. Phase 2, to be honest, I find a little bit easier. I find the projectiles more annoying than dealing with this phase. For safety, you can always equip flying armor if you want a little extra just to jump over the scythe when it does those rounds and whatnot, but you shouldn't really need it. It's not worth the menu, and if you can, ideally using it for those few extra creaking skull hits are going to be worth it. Should be getting... Yep, there we go. That is the death fight. He's probably feeling a lot better having that out of the way. We'll see if he opts to take another safety save on the way out. Probably will, just to refill his health. I would not blame him. Yeah, that is not a bad call. Again, he gained a lot of levels from that fight. He is still underleveled, and I mean, you can see that great armor did 3 less damage. He has no armor, that's the other thing. Levels don't play a huge factor in the overall game. Oh, he's got to be careful here. Spikes when you are petrified are absolutely deadly. He opted to get that money, presumably to go back to the shop and grab a few more items for safety. So the death fight being difficult and being scary early on, in the late game we have the Julius fight being scary, and I don't know if I would necessarily say difficult. It's difficult until you learn the pattern. Let's say that. But Julius is just high damage. So again, dealing with limited items, dealing with not having that potion glitch that so many of us became accustomed to, and that shop glitch. He's opting to take the damage boost through the spikes. It's not a bad play. Health is a little bit low, but he may opt to talk to Mina. Little known fact, if you talk to Mina, you will gain your health back at the start. I'm guessing he's going to do a shop run because he is post-death and can now purchase the greater potions, high potions, I guess is what they're technically called. Good old Hammer. So if you're used to seeing the shop glitch categories, well, you would see us sell his mustache and his eyebrows, because his mustache and his eyebrows are extremely, extremely useful. So he's opting for mind ups. I think he took 3. There's the Mina conversation to heal. Also picked up War Fatigues. War Fatigues, although not the best defense item in the shop, they increase damage. So that is really what your benefit is going to be from picking up the War Fatigues. You do it more for the increased damage than you do for the defense. Also, shoutouts to the no equipment part of the run, Vae showing that off with a few bare-handed knuckles. Let's all get hyped for the soon-to-be needle punches. Well, if you haven't played any GBA-vania, I really shouldn't encourage Zenka to pick up another Castlevania, because last time I did that, he got mad because he picked it up and then I haven't played it in so long. But yeah, if you guys are interested in picking up the Aria runs in any way, shape, or form, there is an Aria Discord. I can certainly post a link for everyone. Reach out if you want to get your hands on that. The community is really, really friendly and receptive to new runners. So, there we go. Bare knuckled that needle. All right, that's all. I was just here for that piece. Yeah, there is actually a separate Aria Discord that is not part of the main Castlevania Discord. We've got our own room, guys. Okay, making his way down. Let me get you guys an Aria link actually while I'm clicking around here. For anyone that wants to join, super fun. There's tons of categories on the leaderboard. There's lots of variation depending on what you're looking for. Most popular go-to category is definitely any percent Soma, no 0 HP. Nice jump there. So we touched on the warp point, so we can utilize that later. So all you need to do is visit the room, and he will be able to use that warp point in future. He doesn't need to actually use it at this point. Skipping right over the optional boss. Well, I guess there's multiple optional bosses depending on your category, but what is intended to be, I guess, the only optional boss, who is Legion. There is no point to visit Legion in this run. If you want to taste a Legion, you'll have to visit an all bosses run. Again, he's going to be watching out for his health. Although he bought healing items, he doesn't want to use them unless absolutely necessary. I feel like he should be able to safe play his way through the next room. Yeah. I do not blame him for that. And he's got to watch out because of poison. Poison reduces the damage that you do as well as increase the damage that you take. So it is not a friendly status to have. Taking the safety before Balor and opting for the save. Very, very smart move. So Balor fight is not really any different than you would see in any percent no 0 HP. You have a different weapon. Because you don't have the Leviathan, it's not worth taking the time. So, other than that, it's pretty much exactly the same. You're going to see the same formula, same 2 phases. Balor does have 2 phases. His first phase, one eye is open, and he uses his fists. Kind of stomps around. You're hoping to see the fists stay in time. They're a lot easier to manage when they stay in sync, but they can get out of sync. The one caveat to that is sometimes one of his fists will get stuck in the ground and you can just kind of go ham on him at that point in time. We haven't found a way to, I guess, kind of make it happen. I believe what causes it is something to do with if you kind of kill his first phase as he's moving out of that first phase. Now we can see the second phase here. Flames are a lot more damaging. He also takes a lot more damage. He's got to be careful. He can take 2 more hits. Very nicely done. What category would I recommend starting with for Aria and why? I would recommend either starting with Glitchless or alternatively what is the main category, which is any percent Soma, no 0 HP. The reason I would recommend that is true any percent, the majority of the game is kind of lost to a debug glitch, which kind of turns into how fast can you count spaces on the menu to break the game. Good luck in your Smash tournament, dude. No 0 HP. 0 HP glitch is, I'm going to call it double frame perfect for the sake of not wanting to go into the specifics of how many frames it actually is, but it is close enough that we will call it double frame perfect for the sake of your average runner. 0 HP, again, breaks the game quite extensively and allows you to take some shortcuts to the very end. There's not many people that do it. I would start either with Glitchless or no 0 HP, because no 0 HP being your main category, it is still fairly execution heavy despite the fact that it has multiple glitches in it. And it gets you familiar with the zips. If you want to play other categories, if you want to look into doing all bosses, it pays to know how to zip in the game. Likewise, if you want to start with Glitchless, Glitchless is a great run to train your backdashes and to get a handle on the movement and the feel of the game overall. So I would suggest one of those two. Any percent no 0 HP, current record is, I believe, 13 minutes and 12 seconds. I could be off on that by a second or two. There's been quite a few people that have started to hit sub 14 recently, which is absolutely incredible. And the record for Glitchless is, I think, a 33. I don't remember the seconds, but I think it's a 33. And under 40 minutes is definitely achievable. So, but if you're looking to get into the game, I would recommend one of those two categories to start with, and that's kind of the respective lengths. It also depends on what you're looking for in terms of run length. Vae is making his way up for the Undine Soul. The Undine Soul is that soul that we mentioned earlier that lets you walk on water. So that intended mechanic that we were supposed to use to get to death, we are actually going to pop up there. Twofold, he also wants the Curly Soul. The Curly Soul is a blue soul, which you activate using the R button, and it allows you to transform into this big beast and, kind of go forward. There's 2 other souls that do the same thing. One of them is Chimera or Manticore? Manticore. And the third one escapes me at the moment, I'm sorry. But he's looking to combine these 2 things to reach the best weapon in the game. The claim is in the hidden area, so to do so, he does need Undine ability to walk on water, as well as the Curly Soul to get himself through a waterfall, which you'll see a little bit later. So opting to suspend the game twofold, it is faster to actually get out of that room by suspending the game, because when you suspend the game, it brings you back to where you entered the room, i.e. in that case, the very bottom. You don't need to do the zigzag. Second reasoning for that is he actually manipulated the Curly Soul. So he doesn't have to farm the Curly Soul and waste time doing so, which would be a little bit of a drag. So he's able to, twofold, save time by doing the suspend, as well as get the RNG into that known position so he can then get the Curly Soul and just be on his way. Ooh. Okay. Smart move using the potion there. First 117 damage from the final guard, definitely intended. Second, not so much. This room can be a little bit trolly as well. Opting to grab the super potion, definitely a smart move. It only takes a few seconds, and you're definitely not buying any. So. Again, depends on the category. No 0 HP is extremely friendly because you are able to do the shop glitch and you can give yourself over 200 potions. But no 0 HP is also the most difficult in terms of how you want to limit yourself, because the fastest route involves not doing the shop glitch at all, which gives you a very limited capacity on healing items for the end game. In terms of this, glitching on accident, you're not really going to glitch on accident in Glitchless. The only glitches that you can do really are shop glitch, debug glitch, and wall zips, and all of which would have to be intentional. Like you can't see anybody accidentally zipping into a wall. It's not like Mega Man where that can happen by accident. And shop glitch has a very intentional setup. Yes, it is very much a glitchless category that makes sense. There's not going to be any rip run for you just accidentally misbehaving and breaking the rules. So he's making his way into the forbidden area. What you just saw there, again, he put on the Undine Soul so he could walk on water, and then you saw the use of the Curly Soul, which actually allowed him to go through the waterfall. In the forbidden area, that's where you're going to find the best weapon in the game. Alright, Ape, thanks again for the runs this morning. The forbidden area, if you follow the intended path, basically, it takes you to a sword that's worth a lot of money when you sell it. Claim itself being hidden, hard to see there, but his damage just jumped up essentially, or his strength, or whatever you want to call it, had just jumped up from double digits, so sub 100 to 143. This is where you see the difference that equipment makes in Aria. Not only is it high strength, high damage, but it's also Holy Elemental. Holy Elemental is extremely useful. Most things are weak to Holy, with the one exception being the Julius fight. I mean, Julius being a Belmont, being weak to Holy would be a little bit strange. There we have Vae with the Flame Demon manipulation. So this is a good time to touch on. We've seen a couple manipulations up until this point. Curly was to gain access to the Forbidden Area. Creaking Skull just being a great utility soul for damage in early game. To get the true ending of this game, and to face off against Graham and get to the Chaos area, if you're not zipping, that is, you have to collect 3 souls, and essentially they're the attributes of Dracula. So you have to get the Flame Demon Soul, the Succubus Soul, and the giant bat soul. The giant bat soul being required anyway for utility purposes and for mobility, so it's something that you have to get. But Flame Demon and Succubus not being mandatory. The clues to this are, as a casual player, there's 3 books that are scattered throughout the castle, and each one is the color of one of your 3 soul slots, and it gives you kind of a hint to the fact that this is what you need to do. So a casual player would be expected to find these books, realize that's what you need to do, and equip the souls. You don't actually need to find the books. They don't have any bearing on anything. If you have the knowledge, you're set and good to go. So you will see him manipulate one more soul, which will be the Succubus soul, to allow him to bypass Graham and move on to the good ending. Alright, we'll see which one he goes for. He's going for the lower room manipulation. So there's kind of 2 schools of thought, or 2 methods to do this. Very nicely done. Like, very nicely done. Those jump slashes they have to be pretty well timed, and if you attack too early, and a second one to boot. If you attack too early, Succubus will dash away from you, and it kind of ruins the whole thing. But yeah, that was a very clean manipulation. I think also depending on your category and depending on your equipment, you can opt to manipulate the Succubus soul in the one room above, where he actually got the second one just by luck. We see him now equipping the 3 souls required. Well, I'll avoid the story spoilers until we actually get to the fight, just to maintain the integrity for those that may not know. So Graham's an interesting dude. He's apparently a missionary who got sucked into this eclipse, and he thinks that he is destined to become Dracula. I guess the theory behind why Graham has some form of power, if you will, is he was, I think, born on the day of Dracula's death is what it is. But he's also kind of embraced the darkness of Castlevania. So he's entered the castle, he's under this belief that he is Dracula, and it's kind of the castle is utilizing that embracement of that to empower him. And here you just thought he was a guy in a slick white suit. Final form. Again, we see him utilizing that jump slash mechanic to ensure that he's getting his slashes as fast as possible. It makes a very generous difference. Don't underestimate how a good jump slash will actually help improve your time. Alright, that's the end of the game, right? So what you didn't see, or what you maybe saw very briefly, is there are some black orbs that were in that room, and well, Arcado, or whatever his name is, we're just going to call him Alucard because that's frankly who he is, reveals to Soma at that time that Soma is actually destined to become Dracula. And he has the power of... oh, what do they call it? I'm sorry. Blanking out here. The power of dominion over the souls. So that's why you've been able to collect the souls and utilize the soul powers throughout, is that Soma is destined to become Dracula. You see him picking up the Calidbog, which is actually going to be utilized on Julius. So Julius, being the Belmont that he is, does not have a weakness to Holy. Claim is not going to do very much. So we're going to opt to use a Dark Elemental weapon against him, which is actually his given weakness. Essentially what's happened from plot points at this point in time, you'll notice, if you happen to see it briefly, Soma's face graphic has changed very slightly, and he's aware of the fact that he is now destined to become Dracula. So his intention is, at this point, to find a way to not lose his humanity and not succumb to this dark power. We also have the Black Panther Soul, which is amazing for movement. This is another great reason to run Glitchless. Black Panther soul movement is just so fun. Especially combined with the, I think it's the Hippogriff, which allows you to do the high jumps. Extra bat soul for swag. Floating garden rooms are set up in a little bit of a strange way, so what we're going to see him do here is we're going to see him go left and then right, and that will actually take him to the Julius room down here. Probably going to opt to save. So yeah, Julius fight. The other thing about the claim too is you get other stat boosts as well from it. Julius fight is definitely one of the more difficult fights in Glitchless. Until you know how Julius actually functions, it can be a little bit difficult. He takes... Like, he kind of gets a stun animation, if you will, or like a knockback, after 4 hits, which you just saw there. The one important detail to note is that if Julius decides he's going to do his backdash, which makes him invincible and he can do it as many times as he likes, that was it there, although you guys didn't see it per se, that will reset the 4 hit counter. So if you hit Julius 3 times and he does a backdash, the next time you hit him, don't expect him to actually take that knockback and suffer that knockback, because you will have recovered from the backdash. So this becomes a game essentially of counting to 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, you know he takes that knockback, you can react accordingly, and just resetting your mindset when he does those backdashes. So, you know, 1, 2, 3, he does a backdash, reset your counter in your head. Know that he's not going to do it until the 4th one. The hardest part about this fight, really, for anyone just picking up Glitchless, is not, having the limited potion capacity. If you're like a lot of people, you come from other categories where you can use shop glitch, it's actually, you get spoiled doing shop glitch and you don't realize. Alright, so Julius is on to phase 2. This is basically where he's going to start unleashing the more powerful attacks. You can see Grand Cross there, which, if you're a Castlevania fan or a runner or even just casual player, you've seen that cross before. I'm also going to be quiet so we can enjoy this epic music. Unfortunately, that's the only time we're going to get to hear that music in this category, but if you love Julius, there is a Julius mode, and you better believe you get to hear that theme. Now we're into Chaos Area. So Chaos Area is basically the embodiment of Dracula's energy and the dark energy. So this is, for a lack of better terms, this is what is trying to take over Soma. So his running plan at the moment is he's going to defeat the chaos, and he's going to prevent himself from being taken over by the darkness. Still need to be a little bit careful, although he has Dracula's tunic. He still takes a significant amount of damage in this section. Got poison, opted to take the safety save, which is nothing but respectable. Again, poison makes you deal less damage, but take more damage. And there's a lot of enemies that are threatening this section. There's a lot of enemies too that are exclusive to this area that you will only see in this section. Other than that, you will see reuses of other areas. Chaos Area is basically a whole bunch of already existing rooms, like this elevator, shaft, whatever, part of the clock tower. It's a whole bunch of existing pieces that are kind of just cut and pasted together with this overly gray tone. There's the Shadow Knight. Shadow Knight is the one soul that has really kind of eluded me in terms of RNG manipulation for 100%. And unfortunately, it's the last soul that you get. So, yeah. Probably gonna opt to take a save. Excellent. So we're through the Chaos Realm. All that's left is the Chaos fight itself. Chaos does have 2 phases. In the first phase, he will be losing all of his souls, and they are completely unusable. So this is just straight up slug it out. I think the most threatening part, I mean, the yellow one's not bad. The yellow one's going to be draining your MP. It's not the end of the world. You kind of expect to come out of this phase with 0 MP. Dragon is pretty annoying, and the crystals can also be bad. Depending on the positioning of both and the timing of both, you know, sometimes you can get a pattern where crystal and dragon are just not cooperating. Yellow orb left with a little bit of extra health, but you know what, that's probably ideal because it's not going to be doing any damage to you. Alright, phase 2. Phase 2 consists of the core piece as well as 4 eyes on the outside. The 4 eyes, they give defenses to the core piece. So you're looking to destroy the 4 eyes on the outside to maximize the damage that you'll do on each hit to the core. This phase, it's predictable in a lot of ways, but the dragon can be a troll. Sometimes he can pop out of the ground and just hit you right in the feet. It's definitely not fun, especially when you start having less and less liberties in terms of healing items. He's going to be coming up on time here in a quick moment. Being careful with the health, totally fine. He's got to watch out now. He got hit by one of those little orbs. Can get rebounded. He got rebounded into another. Narrowly avoids that last one. Chaos very much can combo you to death. That is time. So yeah, super fun category. Again, if anyone wants to hit me up for the Discord link, get involved. It's an amazing community. There's been a lot of activity in the Aria community as of late, which has also been really refreshing. But it's a great game. It's my favorite Castlevania game. I highly recommend it, both on a casual level and on a speedrun level. There are so many categories that there's something for everybody. So depending on what you're looking for, we've got a category for you. But I was glad that I got to commentate this, GG to Vae as well, and I'm going to take us over to a little screen transition and background music, but we will be back in a moment. He's actually going to be doing I apologize, I think it's Demon's Crest run. I have to double check, sorry. Yes, Demon's Crest 100% run. So I'm going to